The silence in the dining room was heavy. Don Javier spoke as if he were talking about the weather. Calm, casual, final. We're taking your office space. Hello, I am Elena Vargas, 26 years old, a web developer. The girl who fixes everything. The girl they believe will always bend. My fork hung suspended in the air. Alejandro smiled over his drink. Mom said his followers needed the space. All 38 of them. I kept my voice steady. Of course, I'll clear it tomorrow. But something inside me folded. 3 years of sleepless nights. 60-hour weeks in that garage. Every invoice, every client, every dream discarded in a single sentence. I stared at my plate, breathing slowly, without anger, without a scene, just a silent shift in gravity. They thought I would argue. They thought I would bend. They didn't see the door opening behind me. They believed I would move to the basement. I was already choosing another direction. The garage had never been just a room. It was the only place in that house where I existed as myself. Every invoice sent at dawn. Every bug fixed at 2 in the morning. Every contract that paid their bills. But this was not new. It had started years earlier. When I was 16, I saved for months to buy my own laptop. Alejandro received a new iPhone because boys need it. I worked 2 jobs through university. Alejandro failed community college twice. They blamed the professors, not his effort. When the heater broke last winter, I paid $2,000. They called it a blessing and then forgot. When Dad's car transmission failed, I paid $1,800. He said he would pay me back soon. He never did. When Mom's car died on the highway, I fixed it myself. She thanked me with leftovers. I kept telling myself it was family. I kept telling myself they needed me. The truth was simpler. I was the daughter who was supposed to hold up the roof. Alejandro was the son who was supposed to shine. They celebrated his C-. They shrugged at my honor roll. They excused his chaos. My stability was expected. Every time I swallowed the pain, I told myself it didn't matter. But pain never disappears. It waits in holidays, in late nights, in years of being the responsible one. When Don Javier said, "We're taking your office," he wasn't stealing a room. He was confirming what I had always feared. My needs were optional. Alejandro's were law. And once you see that truth, you cannot unsee it. It was never about losing a garage. It was about losing every silent yes I had given. The morning after that dinner, I sat in my car with the engine off, hands cold on the wheel, just breathing, just thinking. Rent in the Bay Area was brutal. Everyone knew that. But staying was worse. Staying meant shrinking. So I opened the rental app and started searching for studios in Oakland. 500 square feet. Old kitchen, decent light, enough space for my desk and for peace. 1 day later, first month, last month, and deposit paid up front. Total $5,500. I had $8,200 saved. Not enough for comfort, but enough for freedom. I emailed the landlady Janet with my credit score and contracts. She replied within the hour. Available today, come see it. I drove there before doubt could catch me. The place was small but solid. No leaks, no shouting, no doors opening without knocking. Just a quiet window and a worn floor that needed nothing from me. I'll take it, I said. My voice didn't even tremble. Back home I announced nothing. I simply changed my behavior. Small adjustments. Small rebellions. On Tuesday I bought only milk and bread. Not the usual full grocery run. Mom blinked at the bag. Confused. Money is tight, I said, and walked away. When the Wi-Fi went down, I didn't restart the modem. When Dad yelled about the printer, I didn't fix it. When Alejandro asked for a ride, I sipped my coffee. The bus is right there, I told him. He looked at me as if I was speaking another language. The house had run on my invisible labor. When I withdrew it, the system began to fail. At night I moved my things to the studio. A few boxes a day. Laptop, contracts, notebooks, tools. The things I had built my life with. The things no one would miss until they were gone. By Thursday the grass was long. The sink was full, the Wi-Fi unstable. Mom was stressed, Dad irritated and confused. The machine was breaking down and I was becoming lighter, untethered, unraveling from years of expectations. All the spreadsheets in my head updated themselves. Rent here, deposit there, unpaid hours of work returning to their side of the scale. For the first time the numbers were not against me. For the first time they told me to leave. They didn't notice the growing distance. They only noticed the chores. They didn't see the missing boxes. They only saw the grass. They hadn't seen me leave. Not yet. The real break came the next afternoon. Don Javier walked into the garage with a measuring tape. "Hey, quick," he said. "I sold your workbench. The guy is coming tomorrow." Everything inside me went silent. "You sold my workbench?" I repeated. "The one I built with my own money." He made a face but continued. "Well, he needs a real desk for his streams. Anyway, you're moving to the basement." There it was, finally honest. My effort and my tools were community property. My needs were optional. "I'll give you something," he added quickly. $100 for your hours and you're back." "Keep it," I said. "Consider it another investment in Alejandro's career." When he left, I grabbed my phone, opened the moving app, and booked a truck for Saturday morning. $60. One click. That night I pulled my suitcase from under the bed and started packing clothes instead of routers and cables. "What's going on, Elena?" Dad asked from the doorway. I folded one shirt, then another. "I'm moving tomorrow." "Where? Why didn't you tell us?" "I signed the contract last week. I'm telling you now." "That's ridiculous," he snapped. "You're exaggerating. We're family. There's space in the basement." Family like a leash. Basement like gratitude. I walked past him to the kitchen, took a sheet of printer paper and a marker. At the top I wrote, my contributions in the last 12 months. Rent and utilities, over $12,000. Groceries, nearly $5,000. Repairs and tech support, $7,000. Total, $24,800. Below I added one more line. Alejandro's contributions, $0. Attitude, invaluable. I stuck it on the refrigerator. Mom came in, read it, and turned pale. "It hasn't been that much," she whispered. "Check my bank statements," I said. I kept every receipt. Dad read it twice, losing color. The heater wasn't that expensive. He tried. $2,700, I answered. "You said you'd pay me back when things settled." "I'm not here to fight about money," I said quietly. "I just won't pretend this is fair anymore." "And the internet and streaming?" Mom asked. "Your brother needs it for his channel." "I cancelled the internet yesterday," I said. "My name comes off the accounts on Monday." Silence filled the kitchen without Wi-Fi, without streaming. Saturday morning the truck filled the driveway. I carried boxes past them. Calm, finished, gone. Mom cried. Dad protested. Alejandro hugged his useless ring light. I didn't shout. I didn't list every slight. I simply closed the truck door and turned the key. In the side mirror they suddenly looked small. A house full of people who would finally have to face their own bills. When the house finally grew cold, they felt a fraction of what I had felt for years. The first week in my studio was surprisingly quiet. "No, Elena, the Wi-Fi isn't working." "No, can you look at my car?" "No, your brother needs a ride." Just my desk by the window, my contracts, my coffee, my life. On day 2 Mom texted about the internet. "It doesn't work. Did you cancel it?" I watched the typing dots appear and disappear. For once, silence was my answer. On day 3 Dad called. "The water heater is making a noise." "There are tutorials on YouTube," I said. "Welcome to home ownership." On day 10 came the real call. "The heater broke," he said tensely. "It's freezing. We don't have money for a technician." Of course. Their emergency fund had always been me. "What error code shows on the panel?" I asked. He read it. I checked the manual. "It's the igniter," I said. "The part costs about $95. Labor is extra." He slipped back into the old script. "You can't come fix it?" I looked around my warm apartment. Paid for, with my name on every bill. "I can," I said, "but there are conditions." He went quiet. "Conditions. I'll fix it once. After that we sit down as a family. Open the real numbers, real budget, real responsibilities. Alejandro starts contributing. Work, rent, chores." He hesitated, pride fighting the cold. "Deal," he said at last. The heater took 1 hour. "Done. You have heat." When Mom started thanking me, I raised my hand. "Kitchen table," I said. "Bring your bills." We laid them all out, mortgage, utilities, subscriptions, every line they had thrown at me without warning. "This is what it really costs to live here," I said. And this is what I was covering. Alejandro rolled his eyes. So dramatic. This is mathematics, I replied. I turned to him. You start paying rent, $250 a month. You have 4 weeks to get a job. You mow the lawn, learn basic repairs with Dad. That's not fair, he answered. I don't have money. That's why people work, I said. Streaming is a hobby until it pays the bills. I waited for Dad to rescue him, to play the old song. Instead, Dad rubbed his face and sighed. Your sister is right, Alejandro. Things have to change. Alejandro's face was pure betrayal, but for the first time it wasn't aimed at me. I gathered the stack of statements. I'm not cutting off love, I said. I'm cutting off unlimited access. I stopped being their safety net and started charging like everyone else. 6 months later, my old house felt like another planet. Grass cut, porch light working. New rule, dinner once a month. No surprise visits. No, since you're here. Mom opened the door with a softer look. The kitchen smelled like dinner, not crisis. The sink was empty, Wi-Fi stable. During dessert, Dad cleared his throat and pulled an envelope from his wallet. Inside were $500 in neat bills. It's a start, he said. We'll pay you every month from now on. Something in my chest loosened. Not gone, but finally named. Alejandro got a promotion, Mom added. Shift supervisor at the warehouse. Alejandro shrugged, flushed. More work, barely more pay. Welcome to the adult world, I said without venom. When the dishwasher squeaked halfway through the cycle, everyone looked at me. Old reflex. I stayed seated. Dad turned to Alejandro. Can you check it tomorrow? Alejandro nodded as if he had been doing it for years. That week my phone vibrated. Bonus came in, Alejandro texted, sending $300. I was an idiot, sorry. The money hit my account with a small note. It wasn't the amount. It was the responsibility. I still have boundaries. I don't lend money. I don't rescue anyone. I visit as a daughter, not as infrastructure. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is leave, not to punish, but to stop protecting people from themselves. I didn't end my family. I ended their habit of living on my back. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.